Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
And welcome to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, hosted by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Mark Souza. I'm here with my friend, I wouldn't say good friend, I'm just going to say friend, Jeff Malinoff. We're ready for the NBA season.
Well, that wasn't very nice.
We're ready for the NBA season to officially begin tonight.
I say good friend when I host.
My good friend Jeff.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get into it. Ladies
maybe even say best friend. I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff is going to get over this, and we're going to start talking about...
I don't know if I got it. Guys, I don't know if I can.
The NBA is back. The NBA is back tonight officially. We have 2 games on the slate. Golden State, they host the Thunder from Oklahoma City. Kevin Durant gets to see his old pal, Russell Westbrook.
BFFs.
It's not Russell Wilson, because I
Did you say Russell Wilson? I didn't even catch you.
No. I said Russell Westbrook, but I always say those two. Like they're.
I wonder why.
They're hard to say too. They're both hard.
Russell
Westbrook.
Yeah,
exactly.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, so
I think I just had a stroke.
Golden State is going to host the Thunder tonight. Do you think that this game means anything in terms of, like, do you think that Thunder will come out and try and make a statement on opening night?
No. Well, yeah, obviously, yes.
They'll probably try and make a statement, but no, it doesn't mean anything, right?
Yeah. No, it's obviously they're still bitter about Durant leaving, and this is definitely... Russell Westbrook always wants to beat the Warriors. I think that's clear.
He tries really hard.
I just hope he doesn't walk with the ball again like he did last time. But bottom line is that the Thunder, this is a game to prove that they're on the level of the Warriors. Or try to prove, at least.
So as we enter this season, it seems like it's kind of the same as seasons past. The Warriors are the odds-on favorite to win the title again. Jeff, do you see any scenario that doesn't include an injury where the Warriors do not win the title?
No.
Yeah,
I think they're winning this regardless.
Yeah, it's just the Warriors league. We're in the middle of their dynasty, I guess we could say. It's hard to see this team.
Oh, it's a dynasty.
It's hard to see this team not being the favorite for years to come if they keep this Curry, Durant, Thompson, and Draymond Green core together. You add in DeMarcus Cousins. Jeff, do you think that DeMarcus Cousins adds anything to this team, even though they probably didn't need anything?
Oh, absolutely. DeMarcus Cousins is one of the better centers in the league, and it can only improve. They can only improve this
So
team.
Are you saying that he's an improvement over JaVale McGee?
Is that even a question?
Yeah, it's baffling, right? Like DeMarcus Cousins, they get DeMarcus Cousins for $5 million because he comes off a terrible injury,
and they were the only ones that called him, which sounds ridiculous. If I was any other team, why not give him a call? I know he's a little
he's coming off the big injury, yeah,
but he's also, how you say, could be
he's a difference maker.
I was going to say locker room problem.
He could be, but do you see? Let's talk about that. Do you see him being a problem in this locker room? Do you think that they'll have any problem? Like, if you win all these games, you're not going to have problems, right? Like,
I don't think that he's, like, the main guy for it to be a problem. There's too many guys above him, so it won't be an issue.
Who will have more technical fouls this year, Draymond Green or DeMarcus Cousins? And what will the
tie between 20.
What's the over under for combination of technical fouls between
20?
That's it. I'm taking the over all day.
You really think they're gonna have both combined 20?
I'll take the over.
Wait, technical or ejections?
Just text.
Oh, I thought you were
text.
talking about like ejections. I'm like 20.
Dang, you really think they're gonna get ejected 20 times?
Combined, probably.
Oh my god.
But I would say let's go.
They'd have
50.
to be losing a lot of games for that.
Let's go 50.
50 what? Text?
Yeah.
Nah, they ain't getting that many.
Over under.
Oh, under all day. I'd say 30 is probably the sweet spot.
I'll
27.
say about 40.
Yeah, I'm gonna say under just because.
I do declare.
I wonder if DeMarcus Cousins will play enough games to get that many techs, because they might want to rest him throughout the season, make sure that his Achilles isn't flaring up and probably give him extra days off just to be careful with him so he's available for the playoffs.
Give him a nice massage or something.
But, when you're on a team like the Warriors, which was a perfect move for DeMarcus, he gets to go to the Warriors and they don't have to force him into action. If he has a week where his Achilles is feeling like ew, I don't know.
Action.
Well, you know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah, I do.
Like, he's not on a team where he's like the star or the second star, or the second best player on the team where like they need him to win games. Like he was with New Orleans, right? Like he
was going in to win a championship for them.
That's like it was him and Anthony Davis, but now, he gets to chill. He'll shoot his shot, quote unquote. He will be able to just play his game out there without the burden of carrying a franchise, without carrying the players around him, much like he did in Sacramento and New Orleans on a lower level.
Would you say he was trying to carry New Orleans?
I think that it was an idea. New Orleans, the theory of adding DeMarcus Cousins with Anthony Davis, it was better in theory than it was in practice. And then I think they figured that out relatively soon. But I liked the aggressive play by the Pelicans to go get DeMarcus Cousins. I thought it was a good risk, like a good bet to take. It didn't work out for them, but it didn't really hurt them either. They lost a first-round pick, so, you never want to lose that. But it ended up being, like the 10th pick of the draft? I don't know. It wasn't a very good draft.
It wasn't very high, yeah.
It was a good draft, but it was the 10th pick. You want to get in, like, the top 5 in that draft. After that, it got a little sketchy, so... Yeah, I think all in all, it was the right play for them. But let's going back to the Warriors, I don't see a situation where anything can really happen where it would deter them from winning the NBA Finals unless a major injury or even two. Like, let's just be honest, if that team is relatively healthy going in. Even last year, you remember Curry? He wasn't even healthy, like in the playoffs. He wasn't fully healthy.
But what was their competition? The Rockets? There wasn't much competition.
But that's kind of the same now. What's the difference? They added LA.
LeBron will put up a factor.
Was that LeBron or LeBron? Get it? LA?
LeBron.
Get it? LA?
I'm giving you a very dirty look right now.
Get it? LA Bron? Yeah, so... Even LeBron added to the West.
For those listening, I'm giving him the dirtiest look I can.
You know what? I actually think that there's a player coming back this year that's even bigger than LeBron. Rudy Gobert being healthy will be a big difference for the Jazz. They got that 3rd seed, in my opinion, if he stays healthy. He's the Stifle Tower, which is probably the best nickname other than Greek Freak. Give me a better nickname right now in the NBA. Come on.
LeBron.
No. Greek Freak, Stifle Tower.
Boogie.
God, that's a good nickname. Stifle Tower.
Boogie sounds kind of
Boogie's cool. That's a cool nickname.
Honestly, I don't get that one.
It's just Boogie. It's his nickname.
Yeah, does Steph have one? I think he does.
Chef Curry.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's so stupid.
You don't like Chef Curry, dude?
That's not very creative.
He's just out there just mixing it up. Get it?
Who has the worst one? I think Harden. He's just the beard.
The beard?
Everyone has a beard. He's just the beard.
Yeah. I don't know, man. His beard is cool, though. How does he grow a beard so good around his mouth. Like for
He's
me,
probably had enhancements.
like, we have these like spots right here, but his is like complete. Like he has
guarantee
no.
he had to put hair sections in his beard.
Have you ever seen him without his beard? Like,
It's creepy.
pictures.
It's kind of creepy.
It's interesting, that's for sure.
If you look at his
He wasn't good without his beard, so nobody knows him like that.
when Arizona State, he was still the first round pick.
I know, but like he wasn't notable until he moved to the Rockets. Even on the Thunder, he was good.
He
But
was
like,
the big three in the Rock. If he stays with the Rockets, they win.
you mean the Thunder?
What I say?
The Rockets. You're
I
all over
meant
the place.
Thunder. I'm out of it today. But I'm saying if him and Westbrook and Durant stay in Oklahoma City, that team wins the championship.
Can you believe that they decided to keep Ibaka over James Harden? That was an all-timer right there.
Yeah,
an all-timer.
I think personally that
For as good as the Thunder's GM has been, that was an all-timer right there.
his draft picks he nails draft picks, but nothing. Like after that, he's kind of incompetent.
So let's talk about the Thunder. Paul George, Russell Westbrook. Where do you see them ending this season, Jeff? What's their season? Where do you think their high is? How high can this team go, and how low can this team go?
Their high is the 3rd seed. Their floor is, I would say, the 7th.
Yeah,
They're making the playoffs regardless.
yeah. You think regardless. So even though the West is tough, you don't think that there's a scenario that they could. I mean, without injury. I don't want to. We're not talking about injuries because that happens. But if let's just say they play poorly or other teams play
They're
better,
not missing the playoffs.
you don't think so? There's no
Not
chance.
a doubt in my mind.
Yeah. We'll see. You know what? You know what sucks about tonight? Russell Westbrook is not playing.
Oh, why not?
He has a knee injury, so
Thank you for the information. That was a good segue into why not he's not playing. Like that?
They're keeping him off.
They're
They're keeping him off. It was something that they determined. It was a thought, but they determined it in the last 24 hours. So Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Steven Adams. You think? Sorry, you said their high is where and their low is where?
High is 3, low is 7.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay.
They can drop that low.
I don't know if there's a scenario of them missing the playoffs, but I don't think it's crazy considering remember how close the West was last year?
Yeah, it was only
like a 2 to 3 game difference from 3rd to
but I
9.
I don't see that happening again. Do you?
I don't. I think Westbrook and George are just too good. Like I would take that 2 against most 2s. Obviously, take the Warriors out of this conversation. I'll probably take the Rockets out of this conversation. But in the West, I mean, it's hard to beat. It's hard to beat Westbrook and Paul George, and they don't have a terrible team around them. They still have some good players. Steven Adams is an underrated player in my opinion. But yeah, I think OKC. When we did our season, do you remember when we did our season predictions where we had them? I think we had them like around 5th or 6th.
Yeah, I had them 5th.
You had LA higher than them.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
added a lot more bodies. LA did.
I like LA more in terms of this where they'll finish the season. Give me the Lakers over the Thunder if I'm betting on that, just because it's LeBron, and I don't care if there's Russell Westbrook and like 2 other Russell Westbrooks. It's hard to beat LeBron. Obviously, there's other factors, but you just it's hard to see the Lakers finishing lower than the Thunder if everybody's healthy, in my opinion. What say you? What say you, Jeff? What is their over-under? Do you know?
Wins wise,
Yeah.
it's got to be in the 50s. I'm assuming.
You think so? I don't know about that.
I would say 52.
Let's take a look. 52 is what you said?
Yeah,
Let's see.
is it actually 52?
Oklahoma City. You're going to have to give me a second. We're going to take a quick break, actually. When we come back, we'll figure out what that season win total is based on the odds makers. We're also going to talk about the other game on tonight's slate, which is super interesting in my opinion. Probably more interesting than tonight since Westbrook is out. That's Philadelphia and Boston. 2 cities that I think all of us expect will be there. At least in like the conference finals this year. 2 teams that have some great young players. But we'll talk about that right after this.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. Of course, in the GSMC Podcast Network, we do basketball, football, sports, fantasy sports. So if you're interested in those things, be on the lookout. But let's get back to the topic at hand here, Jeff. We were talking basketball as the NBA season opens tonight. We were discussing Golden State and Oklahoma City, how that matchup will look tonight, but no Russell Westbrook. But we were talking about win totals based on Vegas odds. They have the Thunder at 48.5. What do you think about that? You like the over or the under there?
I like the over.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole slew of teams at 48. Milwaukee, Oklahoma, Denver, Indiana, and the Los Angeles Lakers. So you like them having a better record than the Lakers?
Ness.
Yes. Okay.
No, I said no and yes, so Ness.
So what is the answer?
Yes.
Okay. So before we move on to Philly-Boston, did you see Curry, how he was commenting about how ring night, which is tonight for the Warriors as they get their championship rings handed out, how he talked about how weird it is, like it's the weirdest night of the year?
Yeah. Oh, look at me. It's so weird. I get a championship. I get praise.
That sounds like a first world problem, if you ask me.
Yeah, that is a first world problem. Oh, I'm getting a championship ring. Oh, I'm getting a banner lifted up in my honor. I'm getting cheered loudly by thousands of people. Get off your high horse.
My poor routine is messed up. How am I going to warm up?
Yeah. Oh, I'm just going to shoot threes randomly and they'll go in anyway. So what's the point? Get off your high horse, Richie Rich.
Dang. Harsh words for old Chef Curry.
Yeah, well, when you complain about little things like that and you're a millionaire and you got everything you could ever want, you can...
No sympathy from Jeff Malinoff. You can hit him up on Twitter, at Jeff Malinoff. Hit him up. Let him know what you think about his comments about Chef Curry.
Are you trying to throw me out? Are you trying to give me some hateful comments about me?
Yes, I am trying. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm going to try. So...
It's kind of harsh.
Jeff, why don't we talk about the other game tonight? Actually, I think the more interesting game, considering that Westbrook's out for the Thunder, Philadelphia 76ers, Boston Celtics. Do you think that this is a Eastern Conference Championship preview?
It could very well be. I'm not ruling it out at all. It is a great possibility that this could be it.
Do you see Boston as the front runner in the East?
I do. Right behind them, I see an unpopular opinion, but I see Milwaukee.
Over Toronto?
Yeah.
And Philadelphia?
Well, not... Yeah, I just think the Greek Freak, I think he's just going to blow everyone out of the water. This could be an MVP year for him. That's my take. That's my prediction for MVP.
Yeah, Greek Freak, man. He has the ability this year to do some special things, in my opinion. I think he's hitting that sweet spot where, you know, he's been a breakout player and he's been improving. But this year could really be the year that Greek Freak takes off and becomes more of just an NBA name, but more of like a pop culture household name. What do you think about that?
Oh, I can totally see that.
That's a great nickname.
He got the cover of NBA 2K19. That's just the start for him.
And he's got a great nickname. Nobody can say his name, but everybody knows Greek Freak. That's a sick nickname.
Can you pronounce it?
It's Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Giannis Antetokounmpo. See that
Something
3 times
like
fans. Say that 3 times fast.
It's Giannis.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
It's Antetokounmpo or something. Yeah.
Antetokounmpo.
It's a long name. It wraps around.
I love the guy, but my lord, it's a long name.
It wraps around his shoulders.
When it goes, when the last name, if your last name goes like downwards, it makes a big U, backwards U shape, upside down U shape, then that's bad.
Antetokounmpo. All right, so let's talk about tonight, though.
Should I just be the podcast? I was saying his name 3 times fast, and we can get it.
Right? So at TD Garden tonight in Boston, I don't know if you've ever been there before, but a lovely, lovely place.
The Touchdown Garden?
Yeah, the Touchdown Garden. It's right on the Charles River. Yeah, that's my Boston accent. Don't try and don't have me do that again, please.
I'm just gonna let the silence.
It's on the Charles, man. It's on the Charles. It's right by Paul Revere's
You just said
house.
you don't want to do it again, and you did it.
It's right by Paul Revere's house.
Do you want to be smacked?
So, Philadelphia comes into Boston. You think Boston is the best team in the East? If they don't have injuries, they're going to the finals.
Yes.
Okay. And you have Philly finishing where in the East?
I'm going to say third.
So you're going to say behind who and in front of who?
Behind Toronto and in front of Milwaukee.
I thought you just said Milwaukee was going to get number 2.
I said they'll get the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, okay. But they'll finish 4th in the...
Yeah.
So an upset in the playoffs.
Got it. Yeah, that's what I meant.
So I have a question for you, Jeff. How will Milwaukee get to the Eastern Conference Finals if they have to play Boston in the second round if they're the number 4 seed? Oh, God, that just threw a whole monkey wrench into that operation.
An upset. It's either going to be
So
Boston or Milwaukee.
So you're saying Milwaukee against who in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Let's go Toronto.
All right.
I'd love to
good.
see a first-time ever appearance for either. Well, actually, Milwaukee went years ago. But a first-time ever appearance for Toronto or a first time in like 60 years for the Bucks.
Do you think that today's game is a bigger game for Boston or a bigger game for Philadelphia?
Oh, bigger game for Philadelphia. It's
Yeah.
It's a prove we belong game.
You don't think that it's a bigger game for Boston being at home, maybe like getting the band back together with Hayward and Irving? Because remember, they didn't even have a game. They didn't even play one full game together last year as a team with those two players.
It's true. But like, when's the last time they were relevant? Wait, they always been relevant. That's my point right there.
I'm not going to overreact over one game, no matter what happens.
All right, I'll say this: if Celtics lose this game, they're getting the 8th seed or missing the playoffs.
That sounds like an overreaction.
I know it is totally an overreact. It's just a joke. Because you say you don't overreact over one loss, so I overreacted over one loss.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to overreact over one game, no matter what happens tonight. But
I smell McDonald's.
I think it would be. I think it's a bigger game for Boston for the fact that you remember last year on opening night they lose Gordon Hayward. I think it's big for them to get through this game.
In a very brutal injury, mind you. That wasn't pretty.
Do you think that? Okay, before I get into that, but I think it's just big for them to get through this game and win the opening night and have nothing terrible happen. Like, I think Philadelphia is expected to lose. So if they lose, whatever, they're on the road to start the season. They're playing an experienced team. But let's talk about what you just said, though. Do you think that Gordon Hayward will be nervous about tonight? Do you think he'll be thinking about last year?
I think the best thing for him is to get that out of his head as fast as possible. So I don't think he's going. I think this is a regular game. It's not a game where I'm going to twist my ankle the completely opposite way. I think.
God, that was such a terrible injury.
Like that was, and he's on the Celtics, which they have a 4-leaf clover on the jerseys. Like, how does that happen?
Oh, so you mean like because the whole luck thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Man, what a clever joke, Jeff. If you want to hear more of his jokes or read his jokes, you can.
I barely use my Twitter, so
at
don't.
Jeff
Okay,
Melanoff.
stop at my Instagram. That's more funny.
Okay, at his Instagram where he'll tell you funny jokes. But
Yes,
anyways,
because I'm funny.
Anyways, yeah, man, he's got to get that out of his head. I don't know if that's going to affect him, but
We'll see. We'll see how the game progresses.
he might be a little timid early on. You know, like maybe a little shy to get into the swing of things because of that.
Oh, I think it will be that, but I think once he's on that court, I think everything will go away. Like all the thoughts will leave his mind.
Yeah, I hope so too. He's a really good player.
It's one of those things where the game, like you can't think, you're just playing.
So Kyrie and Gordon Hayward, how do you think that dynamic is going to work now that both players are adding to this pretty deep roster You think that there will be any, I don't know, I wouldn't say conflicts, but any struggles with those guys coming back into the lineup being so such a big part of the team, like finding a way to get both of them the ball enough and things like that?
I would say that it's not going to be an issue to get him into the offense, get him with chemistry and stuff. But I do think that if Gordon Hayward stays healthy and Kyrie Irving stays healthy, this team can go far.
Do you think, though, I mean, there is some people have mentioned concerns that with Kyrie Irving being such a ball-dominant guard, that maybe a guy like Gordon Hayward won't really thrive with him on the court at the same time, because Hayward's the kind of player that runs off of screens, and he does a lot of the work without the ball, but he expects to get the ball, you know?
Well, I will counter this with, we will see tonight if that is true. Yeah. This is the ultimate test,
and at the end of the day, it's the NBA. You put your best players out there, and they usually figure it out, you know?
If Gordon Hayward's like, Kyrie will find Gordon Hayward when he needs him.
Yeah. So, a healthy Boston, would you say that they're just too much for the Eastern Conference this year?
Not too much, but they're going to be a handful.
Okay. So beyond what you were saying earlier, I know you're joking, but you would consider them the team to be in the East?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So they're sitting at, based on the Westgate odds, 59 is their win total. What do you think about that number when you hear 59 in Boston?
I say that's fair.
You think it's fair?
I say maybe even over.
Warriors are at 62.
I would say that's about right, too.
Yeah, so just for, just for reference, the Warriors are at 62. So 59 for Boston, that's pretty respectable, wouldn't you say?
Extremely respectable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super duper respectable.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting game tonight. It looks like everybody will be suiting up for both teams. Let's talk about Philadelphia, though. Philadelphia. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz. Looks like his shot is better.
Ben Simmons still needs to prove something to me.
What does he need to prove to you, Jeff?
He had 1 point in the elimination playoff game they had last year.
So he needs to prove to Jeff what?
You need to step up or step aside, son.
You mean score?
Yeah, you need to produce something. 1 point.
He's not a scorer, though. Does that matter?
Well, 1 point? Like, how many? He only 2 or 3 rebounds. I also you got to do more than that. Especially, it was a playoff game.
He's young. He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
How old is he now? 20? 21?
Is he only that young? He's older than us.
This is his third year in the NBA. He won Rookie of the Year last year. Yeah, so probably 21.
Yeah. I don't honestly. There were some other rookies I would put as Rookie of the Year, but
I don't know about that. But
you think he had a better rookie than anyone else? Like what, by far?
I think so. Plus, it helped that his team did really well.
Mm-hmm. True.
So Markelle Fultz, though, what do you think about him coming back this year? Remember, he had that injury last year where he kind of had to change his shot. Apparently, his shot is back. He's past that injury. Do you expect to see a breakout year from him stepping up this year for the Sixers?
He did seem almost like. It almost seemed like he was afraid, didn't it? Like that.
Yeah, he had that shoulder injury, so he had to change his shot.
Yeah, but before then, he just still felt kind of afraid to do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Retrospect, would you rather have Markelle Fultz or Jason Tatum?
Oh, Jason Tatum.
Yeah?
Yeah. Quicker developed, better player overall, in my opinion.
So Sixers, do you think that they can get the first seed this year if things break their way, or do you think that they're probably second or third?
They're not going to get the first seed. They will get close, but they will not break that ceiling.
Yeah. So what's their floor? Do you think
I would say 6 seed.
So barring major injury, you think they could fall all the way to 6 this year?
Yeah.
That's a hefty fall, no?
Well, you said the very bottom they can do.
Yeah. I mean, barring major injury to Embiid or Simmons or someone like that.
I still say, like, I'm just going to play it safe and say their bottom could be just 6.
I think 4 would be their low. Anything lower than that would be surprising. It would be eye-opening.
Well, it is the 76ers. We've been surprised by them before.
This isn't your father's Philadelphia 76ers, Jeff Malinoff.
Well, if it was my father's, it would be a dynasty.
Oh. Okay.
You don't remember that?
Yeah. No. But I don't think so.
I don't think
the years
it.
are
I
off
don't think it
little
was a
bit.
dynasty, but they were still competitive.
So we're gonna take a quick break. When we
My
come
dad's
back,
old, by the way.
when we come
My
back,
dad was born in '59. I love you, Dad. I know you're listening. Sorry. I hate to throw you on the bus, but I had to defend my statement.
that's not old, by the way. When we come
Aw,
back,
I think you would appreciate that. Don't kiss my dad's ass.
Jeff.
Yeah?
When we come back,
Oh, good. Got it.
we will talk about the win totals for other notable teams in the NBA. We'll talk about the good and the bad teams. We'll see what Vegas thinks, what the public thinks of those odds. Notable numbers, of course. We'll also talk about our picks for MVP and Rookie of the Year.
Hang on tight. We'll be right back right after this.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, of course, and the GSMC Podcast Network. Make sure to check out other sports that you're interested in. But we're getting back to basketball now. We discussed the Golden State-Oklahoma City matchup for tonight, as it will mark the start of the NBA season with Philadelphia and Boston, of course. Those two games are tonight. 4 notable teams. It looks like 4 playoff teams unless something weird happens. But yes, we've been talking about these teams.
Unless something weird happens. A meteor hits the Earth.
Yeah, we've been talking about these teams, but let's talk about some other teams, Jeff. Let's talk about what the public is betting on, what Vegas thinks will happen with win totals in particular. Then we'll talk about our picks for MVP and Rookie of the Year. As you pull up the odds again, we did talk about those before, but you'll be pulling up those odds for MVP and Rookie of the Year for us, and then we'll make our choices. But let's start off, and you let me know what you think about this, okay? Mm-hmm. Houston Rockets, they're the number 2 in the West in terms of their totals, their win totals, 56.5. What do you think about that number? 56.5 Houston Rockets.
Sounds about right, actually. I put an over on that, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It will be interesting. What about so do you know that the Raptors are at 56 and the Sixers are at 53.5? Do you agree with those two? Some people would flip those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think you can go either way.
How about we talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, who are at 48 wins? That will put them at about 10th highest there. What do you think about that number?
10th highest?
They're at 48.5.
I would go even on that.
Sorry, 48. But yeah, even, you say?
Yeah.
Interesting. I would say they're higher. I would take the over. I would take 50. I'd say they hit 50. Maybe 50 and 32. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. How about a team that has fallen off a little bit? They're kind of in a transition. The San Antonio Spurs. What do you think that Vegas has their odds at for wins?
42.
42.5. Good job.
Oh!
Good job. Some of these are half, some of these are not. So 42.5. What do you think? Over, under? What's your feeling? What's the temperature?
I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to go under.
It's really hard to say, huh? Like a Popovich team?
Really,
like it
really is.
But when you just look at it, if you remove like history, I guess, that's funny to say, but if you remove that and you just look on the roster, man, they have an interesting roster. I mean, they have LaMarcus Aldridge, they have DeMar DeRozan, but with the loss of DeJounte Murray, I don't know, man. I have them under too.
Okay.
I think that they would have to stay really healthy for the remaining players that they have. Some things would have to go their way, if that makes sense.
Okay. Fair enough. That's fair.
So, who do you think has the lowest win total in the NBA?
The lowest?
Yeah.
Atlanta Hawks.
And you know what their number is?
Like 23, right?
Yeah. I already told you that before.
Yeah, I was
but what do you think about that? Would you say over or under that 23? 23?
That's pretty bad. Pretty accurate. Trae Young's not going to carry that team to more than 20 wins.
So you're taking the under on there?
Yep. Yepers.
How about the second worst odds Sacramento Kings at 26?
I'm going to go over on that one.
Over?
You know what? No. That's getting ahead of myself.
They're going over. I'm telling you right now, and I'll tell you why. You want to hear it?
Why?
Because they don't have their first round pick this year. So there will be games that if they had their first round pick, that they would be okay with losing. I'm not going to say they'd be outright tanking, but they'd be playing young players and okay with losing, as it would boost their chance of getting the number one pick. They're not afforded that this year, as they traded that pick away. I think that they will try to win games against teams who are probably not trying as hard as them. So give me the overall day on 26 for Sacramento. I see maybe 29, 30 wins. Not more than that.
I see 61.
61 losses, maybe.
I'm kidding.
61
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
How about the Cleveland Cavaliers?
They would have 21 lost wins then.
The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh my God, they're like 30, isn't it?
31.5.
How much of a drop without LeBron James? My Lord.
I think last year they were 55.
Yeah, I'll say
over.
I'll go under.
I say over.
Remember how bad they were when he lost? They went 27 straight losses at one point. So yeah, I'm going under.
I'm just gonna say that because of the conference, I give them the benefit of the doubt. I say they get 32 wins. They get 32, and you win by half.
Under. Right. I go under still.
So, how about an interesting team for me? The Minnesota Timberwolves at 42.
That's low.
Now, they got that whole Jimmy Butler saga drama, whatever you want to call it, going on.
I'm going to go over.
You're going over.
45 is my guess.
So, if Jimmy Butler gets traded and they don't get a player or players as quality back or returned as that, would you say under?
I'll say even.
That one's hard to bet on because of that. You don't know what's going to happen there.
And he's starting.
He's going to get traded,
He's
right?
playing in the opener, so who knows what the heck's going to happen.
I'll take the under on that because I don't know, man. I feel like without Jimmy Butler, if you got Cat and Wiggins, I'm not really high on them in the West if that's your team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to see them being 500 or better than 500 with no Jimmy. I'm not sure how many games he'll play in the Minnesota Timberwolves colors. That will
We'll see.
Yet to be determined. So, you know what I found interesting? The Clippers, 37.5.
Under.
Under, huh?
Under.
Yeah. What about the Mavericks at 36? They're only 1.5 behind the Clippers, and they're a really bad team.
Under. All these teams you're saying are bad.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, did you pull up the MVP?
I have. You want to hear some shockers?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but is there any big changes?
I think there is.
Okay.
I'll name you a player, and you tell me what their over-under is.
You mean their plus, like their...
No, like to 1 odds.
Oh, okay.
Russell Westbrook.
Isn't he like 20-1?
He's now 14-1.
Yeah, that's interesting.
This is a shocker to me. Stephen Curry,
25-1.
15-1. Mm-hmm. And then this one kind of also shocking. Kevin Durant,
11-1.
9-1. So he's in the single digits again.
LeBron's probably like
This
7-2.
This one's kind of a long shot, but Ben Simmons,
45-1.
28-1. That's actually kind of pretty. That's pretty high for him.
It's pretty good.
This Kawhi Leonard,
35-1.
11-1.
Woo!
That's pretty high. This one is kind of absurd still to me, but Anthony Davis,
High for sure. 8-1.
4-1.
Yeah.
He's the high. He might not be LeBron James.
He's odds-on favorite. 3-1.
Yeah, 10-3 actually.
Yeah, it's basically 3-1.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, who are you picking for
But
your
wait,
NBA?
this one's also crucial. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
The Greek Freak.
Yeah.
He's at 7-1.
I'm not trying to make fun of his name. I'm literally trying to pronounce it. Antetokounmpo.
It's Antetokounmpo. Anna.
There's a T. There's two T's in there.
Antetokounmpo.
But Annie. Okay, so
Don't quote me.
Antetokounmpo.
Sometimes you don't just do it phonetically, though.
And yet Giannis is Giannis.
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's Greek. I know that, but like
Giannis.
How are you supposed to pronounce that properly?
So what is he at? 7-1?
Hold on, I just got an ad popped up on my screen about the swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated that no one ever buys. Mm-hmm. Anyways, well, they don't buy it because other things exist.
Yeah, definitely not Jeff. He definitely doesn't buy that.
I don't. I haven't read a magazine in a long time.
Go ahead
Anyways,
with the odds.
5-1.
I like it. So, Jeff Malinoff, who is your NBA MVP this year as we kick off or tip off today's NBA
I said this
season?
before, but I said Giannis.
You're going to the Greek Freak?
Oh yeah, it's hard not to.
Yeah, he's a good one. He's got a big ceiling because I think his game is going to take off a little bit more. Plus, he's going to carry that team.
He needs a big ceiling to walk around his house. So yeah, he needs one.
He's going to carry that team. If they get as high as like the 2 or 3 seed, I mean, I think he could win it for sure. He's already going to be in the conversation. For me, it might sound boring, Jeff.
It's LeBron.
I think it's going to be Durant.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I like Durant. He's going to play on the best team.
Well, he likes you too. You guys should date.
He's going to play on the best team. He's going to be the best player. I know it's boring, but
you're
Durant.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay. It's logical
None of us picked LeBron, interestingly enough.
because it's the too obvious one.
Well, I mean, we're picking it's not who we want to win it. We're just saying who we think. I think it's going to be Durant.
I
Because
know it's not who we want, but it's like I also want to think like you don't want to go with the because that's like
I mean, we're not actually putting money on this, so
Yeah. If I was putting money on it, I probably would pick LeBron, but I honestly think it's going to be Giannis.
Really, I think if we were putting money on it, Giannis would be a better play.
I would put if I had $1,000 to bet, I would put about $50 on LeBron just for safety, and then I would put the $950 on Giannis.
So you would put 50 on LeBron for safety, but then you'd only win 150 back if he won.
I'd still get.
You'd lose $850.
I know, but at least I still have some money instead of putting it all on Giannis.
You'd have 15%.
Exactly.
Cool. So let's talk about Rookie of the Year then. Rookie of the Year odds. I mean, I'm pretty sure we know it's Ayton and Doncic 1 and 2.
Who? All right, guess who's won?
I'll say Ayton.
It's Doncic.
Gotcha. I think it improved a little bit because he was really good in preseason.
It's 7-3 odds.
So who do you think? Do you think it'll be one of those two, or do you have an outside pick for? I'm not talking about odds here. I'm just talking about who do you think will actually win the MVP
Honestly,
or the Rookie of the Year?
I think Trae Young might take it, might steal it. He has a possibility. He's looking pretty good in preseason. He might be a sleeper. He's 25-1 odds, but still. Marvin Bagley, I don't know. The number 2 overall pick, you can't really overlook the number 2
I don't
pick.
think he's the best option for his team, so it's hard to say. Like Giles, I think is a better pick for Rookie of the Year for the Kings, but
Giles is not even in the rankings.
Yeah, but he will be. I guarantee you, Giles will be more impressive than Bagley. I don't know if either one of them will win it, but I think that
Colin
Giles
Sexton
will be.
is actually 7-1. He might take it. But I honestly think Trae Young is a sleeper. But I honestly think DeAndre Ayton.
I think it's Luka. Luka or Ayton, I don't think it's particularly close.
20 push-ups?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to remember that.
I'll remember everything.
Who knows we'll be here.
I'm a graduated college student. I
can't make bets for what'll happen next June.
Okay.
It's not even Halloween.
This is Halloween.
So I got Luka Doncic as my NBA Rookie of the Year. Who do you have?
I have DeAndre Ayton, but I have Trae Young as a sleeper.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My sleeper would be Harry Giles, just because he plays both ends of the court and he has the ability to
he's
showcase
athletic,
some
no
skills.
doubt about it.
Cool. So let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we have a few things to wrap up. A couple NBA players got extensions in the last 24 hours. We'll break down those, see if it's worth it or not for those teams. We'll talk about Paul Allen and his passing and how that'll affect the NBA. And we will wrap this up also talking about another betting topic, and it's about the Warriors. But we will get back on that when we return in just a moment.
We will be back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
And welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, of course, in the GSMC Podcast Network. With me is Jeff, as always, as we wrap up this last segment of the show.
Hi back.
Hello. So, one thing I want to talk about on a serious note for just a moment is Paul Allen, the owner of the Portland Trailblazers, has passed away. Not too many people will remember him as the owner of the Portland Trailblazers, as he was a man involved with Microsoft, other big things outside of the sports world. But he did have a heavy influence on the NBA, as he was owner of the Portland Trailblazers. So I want to give our thoughts and good thoughts his way and his family's way as they go through this tough time. Always a sad thing to see. 65 years old. But moving on to the basketball side of this, in this tough time, is the conversation about the Blazers. It sounds like, and there have been rumors, that Paul Allen's family would look to sell his sports franchises. And in addition to Portland, he also owns the Seattle Seahawks in the NFL. So there's two teams that he leaves behind that sounds like could be up for sale in the future, here in the upcoming future in the NBA. So, Jeff, do you think that if the Trailblazers are sold, that anything will really happen with their future, or do you see somebody taking over the team and keeping everything the same or as is?
Every owner says they won't change anything, and they end up changing things. If it's a billionaire from the Washington area, I don't see any changes. But if it's an outside buy, and they say we won't change anything and tradition and all that, I still think they'll change some stuff, because every owner has said that in the past when they get a new team. It's like, we won't change anything, we'll keep it as the fans want it, and then they change everything.
Yeah, it's always interesting when there's a change in ownership, how the new ownership will mold the team. Drastic changes could happen, like maybe they want to move to a different city, but then even on a lower level, like maybe they'll want to bring in a new coaching staff. Maybe they'll want to bring in a new general manager right away. Sometimes a new owner will take that approach as, I take over the team, but I want to see how the current leadership works as is before I make any changes. But maybe it's somebody who's been involved in the NBA before. Maybe they have their own set of ideas and things like that. So it will be interesting. One notable contract extension, I don't know if you heard this, Jeff, but Miles Turner and the Indiana Pacers have agreed to a 4-year, $72 million extension. What do you make of this deal, and do you like it for the Pacers? So Miles Turner, 4-year, $72 million extension.
I don't see that's a lot. To me, that's a really lot. Oh God,
Is it? I think it's pretty fair.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's just, to me, that's a little high for that kind of talent.
He's really good, though.
He is good, but he hasn't really proven to me that he's that high of a player, that paid of.
It is Indiana, though. They don't necessarily attract the best free agents because not a lot of people want to live in Indiana, if you know what I mean. So
yeah,
it's not as attractive as the New Yorks or the Miamis or the Los Angeleses or the Houstons.
Sacramento. I'm kidding. No. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's just overall, I'm putting in the fact that they're putting all their eggs in a basket that they don't know is how big or how deep it is.
But when you break it down, it's less than $20 million a year. So I mean, yeah, it's a lot, but it comes out to what, $18 million a year. We'll see.
That's a lot of money.
How about this extension? Larry Nance Jr. and the Cleveland Cavaliers have agreed to a $44.8 million extension.
I do not get at all.
No?
Not in the slightest. That one's weird. That's too much. $44 million?
It is a lot of coins. It's a lot of coins for...
What, they can pay him in pennies?
That would be a few trucks.
Do you imagine the $44 million in pennies? That's like the size of Rhode Island.
That would be interesting, wouldn't you say?
Let's try it. Everyone, donate your pennies, and we can get $44 million in pennies. Let's see if we can pull it off. And as for the money itself, I don't know. I'll just take it and put it in my bank account or something.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. I'm not sure what the Cavaliers really... I mean, Larry Nance Jr. I think is a decent player.
Don't actually send me pennies, please. I'm begging you.
I think he's a decent player, but like I don't really know about investing that much money in him.
44 a year, you said, right?
No, it's 44
total.
0.8. Yeah, it's
okay. I thought you said 44 a year.
It's 4 years extension, so it comes up to about 11 million.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's not the worst. I mean, like it's not the worst move they can make.
I know like there's no limit to what you can spend and all that good stuff.
Well, there is a cap.
Well, it's a very high salary cap.
Yeah, you can spend more on your own players than going out and spending on free agents. So.
I mean, look at the Warriors, for example.
Speaking of the Warriors, thank you for the transition.
You're welcome. We planned that. I have it written down right here.
Yeah, so because the Warriors are such odds-on favorites to win, they're actually scaring bettors off. There's less money being betted on the NBA this year because not very many people are betting on the Warriors because there's such a high risk for them. You don't really get a lot on your return. And not a lot of people are betting on other teams because they don't really think that those teams have an opportunity. So
people are listening to me. It's the most predictable league in all of sports.
Yeah. So no other franchise in the past 30 years has been an odds-on favorite to win the championship.
It's like Groundhog Day, the movie by Bill Murray.
Yeah.
By Bill Murray, starring Bill Murray. Every day, it's the same thing. You try something different, but the same result. You wake up and you hear that song on the alarm clock, and oh, look, the Warriors win an NBA championship.
Yeah. So Jeff Sherman, who's a sportsbook manager, whoever sees the NBA odds for...
My name's Malinoff, not Sherman. You got that mixed up.
Yeah, he oversees the NBA odds for the Superbook. He says, if the NBA was more wide open, or at least perceived that way, betting would be greater than what we're seeing now. So many teams have little to no chance of winning the title with the lack of parity. At this point, NHL betting is actually greater than NBA at this point, which is not common. So with that being said, what do you take on that? Do you think that this season is even more one-sided than years past, even though the Warriors have been great for a while?
It's still one-sided. It's always... as long as the Warriors are in this start, like these four with DeMarcus Cousins, they have the five. They will be NBA champions. I guarantee it. If they don't, I'll do 20 push-ups.
Do you think that LeBron moving out west actually made them a higher odds-on favorite because they don't perceive the East
They
as being...
swept the Cavs last year. It wasn't even a challenge before. Why would it be a challenge now?
Because people might perceive that with LeBron in the East, like he's like, save us, LeBron, you're our only hope, you know? Like a Star Wars reference there for you.
Were you just doing Star Wars A New Hope? Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Save us, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Did you not even know the reference?
Yeah, it's Princess Leia on the little hologram.
Okay, just testing you.
Come on, man. Everybody knows that.
Well, you're what, 33,000 years old? So you got to know that.
33,000.
You're only 33, right?
Yes.
Very young, very young. You're only at the end of your
33 years young, sir.
You're closer to 40 than I am. Anyways, anything else to talk about?
No, I think that will do it for today's show. So once again, I will recap. We talked about tonight's matchup. So again, the NBA season starts tonight. So if you didn't know, now you know. You got OKC traveling out west to face Steph Curry, and the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant, who's my pick to win MVP. And then you also have Philly traveling to the TD Garden out on the Charles River in Boston. Great city, by the way. As Philadelphia will start their season, they'll see if they can match up and possibly defeat the Celtics and make a statement on opening night. We talked about the win totals for some of the notable teams in the NBA, the top teams, the bottom teams, and some other teams.
The left teams and the right teams.
And again, you know, our thoughts go out to Paul Allen and his family and Blazers fans at this time and their interesting predicament as they will see where the franchise goes from here on out, as Paul Allen, who was a stabilizing force as their owner, has passed away. We talked about Miles Turner and Larry Nance Jr. receiving their big contract extensions. And, of course, the Warriors scaring off all the bettors. But other than that, we will be back with you on Thursday as we talk about tonight's games and tomorrow's action.
Yes, we will see you then.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.